Well, look back from a distance.
He's just lost the lead in the British Supersports Championship. He's here as a wild card once again. Oh, and he did! Oh, and he aimed straight for a gap on the right-hand side across the front of Robbie Harms. Craig Jones just said he would go for it off the start. 23 laps to go then. And Jonesy boy, well, I'd said to him beforehand, please get yourself in the mix somewhere. He's fourth. So Craig Jones confident in his knowledge of Brands Hatch. It is him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's him, number 83, yeah. And that's 85, Crutchlow with a blue helmet, same bike. 85 blue helmet down in probably about 9th or 10th.
And you would have expected Sébastien Charpentier to get away at the front, and Michel Fabrizio and Stefan Chambon, of course, the flyweight Frenchman, almost makes a good start. But look at that. Jones is fourth, fifth, Alessio Carradi. And then Nanelli, Harms seventh, 848, 9th, Curtin. Curtin's got a terrible start. He was second on the grid.
Crutchlow had a plan, actually, because he was on the right-hand side, the bottom side of the grid. If he wanted to get around anybody off the start, he was going to go up into the pit lane, he said, and round him that way.
And as they head down through Dingle Dell, impressive start by that boy Craig Jones, who, remember, deputised very ably for Fujiwara at Brno, finished in 6th place after being as high as 4th and threatening a podium position. So as they go diving under the Axo Bridge, what great to see the Englishman right up there. Bike number 83. And that's the 20-year-old from Northwich in Cheshire, now resident in Northamptonshire. And he just beats it underneath a former winner around here who loves this place, Stefan Chambon, and already through into 3rd place. Craig Jones out to make an impression. Tell you what, the Jones boy has been hanging out a lot around the Denkarte Honda camp this weekend. I think perhaps he sees his future there in World Supersports.
Yeah, there's one thing, he's not shying coming forward. He'll actually go and talk to people, tell people what he's doing, tell people how good he is, which sounds big-headed, but he isn't. He'll go and talk to people and put himself in on the market.
He went in a bit hot into Graham Hill there, cost himself a bit of time and allowed Stefan Chambon back in. So he's been pushed back down to 4th place, but more his own mistake than anything else. But keep pushing, my boy, keep pushing. Number 13 right alongside him is Alessio Carradi on the Ducati Selmat 749R that was, if you remember, thrown in the bin by Jürgen van der Goorberg earlier this year. And that's it's a snorting new colour scheme for Fabien Foray, number 99. It's a touch of the airways Ducati about it. At the front, Charpentier, championship leader. Fabrizio in 2nd place, pushing him on the Megabike Honda. Few jagged moments coming out of Stirling's. Fabien Foray loves this place despite his accident last year. He's tried to make ground. Brock Parks, look at that extravagant style of Parks as he tries to get round the outside. Now 23 years old, of course, with the number 23 stenciled on the back of his neck. And that's Jones trying once again to shade his way underneath Stefan Chambon.
And he's going to try it again going up into Druids as well.
When he gets it.
Runs a little bit wide, but manages just to keep it tight enough to stop Chambon tucking him up the inside.
There's one thing though, when you back it in as steeply as Craig Jones does, it doesn't leave the opposition a lot of space to work with.
No, it doesn't. Also, you look at somebody who's backing in like that and think, well, he's going down, surely.
And there is Fabien Foray on the Haga line.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah, and he's now through into 4th place, so he's pressing number 83, Craig Jones. 69, Luca Nanelli made a pretty dismal start, so he's struggling a bit after his front row position. And there goes Chambon. Whistles back on the Gill Motorsport number 8 Honda. And Kevin Curtin also pressing hard on the Yamaha Deutschland R6, making progress through the pack.
Yeah, and Curtin's got to be disappointed with that start. I think he would have hoped to have been a lot higher than this at this stage.
Fastest lap, Charpentier, no surprise there, 129.639 against the 129.77 for Fabrizio in 2nd place. All the rest of them in the 130s except Kevin Curtin on a 129.9. That man, number 11, really pressing hard to make up for that calamitous getaway. Jones with a few bike lengths to spare as he flashes underneath us now. Once again, Foray has a look underneath into Panic Bend and passes Stefan Chambon, his fellow Frenchie. But Kevin Curtin really is on a mission.
He's desperate to make up for lost time.
Trying to get round the outside of Stefan Chambon and then down the inside of Stefan Chambon. Curtin, of course, was so disappointed with himself to throw away that second place. And there goes Fabien Foret on that extreme passing manoeuvre. And Craig Jones says, you're not getting away with that, and tries to get alongside him on the North Point Honda. And he did get underneath him. Oh, great move there by Jones. Comes straight back. And at the front, for the first time this year, James, Michel Fabrizio is giving Charpentier a hard time.
He is.
Craig Jones has a convoy of guys behind him, but he's just mixing it with them and feeling like he belongs at World Championship level.
And one man who does think he belongs at World Championship level is Fabrizio. Look at him giving Charpentier a really hard time here.
Last year, of course, the race went to Tenkate's Carl Muggeridge on his way to the World Championship. Katsuaki Fujiwara there, we got a glimpse of just then, not entirely at home yet on the CBR 600 after his Suzuki 8-hour exploits. And Fabrizio once again looking at the possible inside line, dropping into Paddock Bend. But Charpentier holds a stylish lead at the moment. And coming up into Druids, again, and there's just a whisker between front wheel and back wheel as Jones shadows Fabien Foret there through Druids. Fabrizio is really pressing Charpentier hard. The last laps were 130.4 for Charpentier, 130.17 for Fabrizio, 130.5 for Jones. Migliorati in 16th place, just outside the points on the Lightspeed Kawasaki. The battles featuring the front Hondas in first, second and third places. Dropping down once again into Dingle Dell. And here Fabrizio again looks up the inside on the entrance to Sheen Curve.
Yeah, that is a really, really brave place to pass, is that. Rob Mack once passed me there, and you're that shocked, there's nothing you can do for a minute or two. Especially when somebody as big as Rob Mack comes barreling through the inside.
Kevin Curtin has also got the better of that man, number 83, Craig Jones. I want to see Jonesy have a good result here because he's promised he'll come up and join us in the commentary booth after the race. Oh, and there goes Fabrizio. This time he does make it all hang out on the Megabike Honda. And how will Charpentier respond?
Like that.
Like that.
Exactly like that, Jack.
Just like Norihaga.
Yep.
Charpentier deciding that he's got what it takes, but he goes again for the long arc out to the right-hand side of the track, swings across and charges down that short straight towards Surtees. Gerrit Tenkate and Ronald Tenkate, centre and left there, the two cousins who run this team. The Winston Tenkate team, speciality Dutch food, always available.
What is Dutch food?
Not quite sure really.
Generally.
Salty, I think. A lot of ham and cheese, I'm reliably informed by someone who enjoyed it yesterday. Dropping down through Dingle Dell. Race leader Sebastian Charpentier. Second place Michel Fabrizio, the 20-year-old Italian. Third still is the squirrely Fabien Foret, the ferret, and right behind him Kevin Curtin.
Speaking of ham and cheese, Jack, me and the missus and little Ruby went to Malham, went camping, and finally managed to persuade my missus to go camping. She thought camping was in a 100-gram motorhome, that's what she thought, but we actually went in a tent, and she really enjoyed it. But we did have a lot of ham and cheese sandwiches mainly, and a lot of wine, strangely enough.
That I would have expected. Curtin in fourth place, Jones in fifth.
Well, you need someone to keep the cold out, Jack.
You do. And, alcohol is one good thing. There was a guy who survived the Titanic through the amount of alcohol he had in his system, and he kept the cold at bay when he was in the water.
Excellent.
Crutchlow there in 13th place ahead of Michel Legrive and Laus Leto, the Finn, who rides for the Team Claffey Honda squad. Tom Tunstall in 19th place. Going down Pilgrim's Drop, Kevin Curtin gets alongside, and Stefan Chambon is still right there with Craig Jones.
Yeah, and Curtin actually lapping quicker than Charpentier or Fabrizio.
1:29.59.
If he could have got away with him, I think he'd have been with him now.
Craig Jones is struggling a little bit to he's only just maintaining the pace of the guys behind him. In fact, he's already lost a place to Stefan Chambon. We'll grill him about that when we see him up here. Once again under the bridge, back into the arena. Come on, Jones. And finally getting to grips with things a little bit. The second of the Tenkate Winston bikes, Katsuraki Fujiwara.
Come on, Jones, more effort required, please.
Here he comes, he's trying to. He's getting underneath Stefan Chambon again. But Chambon likes that tight entrance to paddock and just comes across and closes the door. Incidentally, there was a lot of, there was a terrific amount of rain mid-race in the Suzuka 8 Hours.
Yep.
Oh, look at
He's
that.
been trying that every single lap, and
it could have them both off.
It definitely could go wrong, that, yeah.
And but what Vermeulen was saying last night was it wasn't English type rain, it was very, very muggy. And throughout that 8 hour race, he drank 8 litres of water and lost 3 kilos in weight.
Yeah, no, the Suzuka 8 hour is always running a time of the year. Suzuka, one part of the year it's cold and really dry, and the other part, I think it's monsoon type climate. And when the Suzuka 8 hour endurance race is on, it is as stiflingly humid as it gets, and it's real hard work. It's like 3 laps is like, a week. It does take a long time. I've done the 8 hour twice, and it's the most hard work.
What was your best result then?
I'd rather not say.
We wouldn't mind. We'd think you did well.
I can't
anyway.
remember. To be honest, it's late 80s, and I can't remember. I think we ended up in the teens once.
Okay.
But the team wasn't the best team. They wouldn't let you alter the bike. When you wanted to alter the bike suspension settings, he said, no, that's what Honda have recommended, and that's what we're running, and so that's what we did. Plus, I came in after my stint absolutely beggared, and my teammate, who was a Frenchman at the time, wasn't anywhere to be seen. He'd gone up to one of the French teams to have some coffee with him, and they had to send me out again. Entente cordiale, not at work that day, I don't think.
I wondered why you kind of had the digs at Frenchmen now and then. And look, once again, once again, it's Italian versus French here, and it's Michel Fabrizio having a dig underneath at Graham Hill Bend. But,
and Curtin's catching him now.
Charpentier was wide then. Yeah, Curtin 1:29.5 was 2 tenths up on the leaders on that last lap. And there's Katsuaki Fujiwara. I thought he was beginning to threaten Jones, and Jones just has a moment there with that narrower rear tyre that he's used to racing with. Don't do anything silly, Craig. I think that's not even a plea that's worth wasting your breath with, really, is it?
No.
Jones is out there.
Not really. And Jones, he said about his bike, he said his British Championship bike, the North Point bike, actually felt better to him than the Tenkate bike because he didn't really have anything to compare the speeds with, and his bike in Britain was obviously set up a lot better for him. So he wasn't that worried about not having a Tenkate bike for this meeting.
Right. And there you have evidence of the fact that Curtin in 3rd place on bike number 11 is just snipping away at the advantage of Charpentier.
He's sneaking up on him.
But Charpentier is he beginning to gap Fabrizio slightly? As they go past us now, there's about 4 bike lengths in it, but Fabrizio is strong on the brakes as they go into paddock. And once again, 29.5, consistently faster laps coming out of Curtin. But Charpentier responds with a 29.54. And Forrest just set his fastest lap of the race with a 1:29.77 in 4th.
That's Cal Crutchlow, Jones's teammate, right in the mix there. He's having a right ding-dong. This is a good race for him.
And that was Xavier Forrest benefiting there in big style for Robbie Harms, running well wide on the Stiggy Motorsports Dark Dog Honda.
And Crutchlow as well.
And Crutchlow went through at the same time. Is Cal Crutchlow a big lad? He looks all elbows and shoulders.
No, he's actually quite small. He's actually quite a small lad.
Pouring through Hawthorns, the race leaders in the sunshine, into the shadow. Because of course there's a lot of trees over, a lot of copses. We're in lovely wooded Garden of England, Kent countryside here. Notable lack of any of the Ducatis around here. The furthest one up, I can't even see where the Ducatis have gone. Oh dear me. they've done a total and disappeared.
And I hope you know that to be down here this weekend, Jack, I'm actually missing one of the parties of the year. A guy called Howe, British Championship Supersport rider, he's a farmer, clears one of his barns out and has a big summer barbecue come drinking competition. And I got a message this morning, this was at about 11 o'clock, it said, 2 big fights, a car crash, and we're still drinking. So I've probably missed a right good night. So if you're listening up there, you deserve all the bad feeling and headaches you're going to get, mate.
And I would have thought you'd be very grateful to us for being here at Brands Hatch at this moment in time.
I am now.
And going underneath us now, Cal Crutchlow, you're right, is actually mixing it really strongly with that mid-pack. Craig Jones just beginning to fall back slightly towards Alessio Corradi, the former European champ. Charpentier, Fabrizio still hanging in there, and Kevin Curtin again was quicker by a couple of tenths of a second on that lap.
But he's finding it harder, and the nearer he gets, these other two are raising the game a little bit. He's closer though.
Come on, Kevin. Kevin Curtin's one of these guys who's got a kind of earring the size of a
carabiner.
Yeah, of a kind of curtain hanger. That was it was Xavier Forres who went wrong there, backing into Druids, and that gave Cal Crutchlow the chance to dive underneath him. Crutchlow's taking his chances.
Did you see Forres look right across at him thinking, go on then?
Reluctantly. At least he didn't do a Jose Luis Cardozo and just chunked straight back in and knock them all down.
Yeah, well, he's on the outside, so who's going to come off worst?
Diving once again in front of us here, just about half distance. 11 out of 23 laps complete, and Sebastian Charpentier still consistently race leader and championship leader. Kevin Curtin 1:29.7, once again a tenth quicker than Charpentier, 2 tenths quicker than Fabrizio on that lap. So if it's true what Brock Parks was saying, he's working that bike hard. And again, Cal Crutchlow makes sure that he gets neatly and tidily into Druids. But look at them scattergunning around behind him. And they're using every inch of track that they can. There's Harms, Lauslato, Legrive, Stigfeld, Migliorati, all involved in that chasing pack.
Actually, some of them lads look like it's their first time ever on a bike. They're going all over the place. They don't actually look like they know what they're doing.
Well, one of them is Stiggy Stigfeld, and he said before the race, it's a very different track from the ones I've been riding before. It's a pretty scary looking track, actually.
What he needs is some instructions taped to the tank, I think. A map, maybe.
And so this untidy mid-pack scrap. 127, Robbie Harms is the front runner of the 2 yellow Team Stiggy bikes.
Yeah.
The actual team boss is that man there, back of that little pack.
You want to be keeping out of harm's way. You like that?
I do, actually. It's refreshingly clean and broadcastable. Charpentier 1:29.79, Fabrizio 1:29.88, and Curtin 1:29.87. Like as you said, James, he's finding it harder and harder trying to inch in on the Hondas.
Fabrizio's managing just about, I think, to stay with Charpentier. I don't think he's finding it easy.
Michel Fabrizio, of course, came in from MotoGP with the WCM team last year, where he had some pretty brave rides right on the fringe and just into the points. Bike number 84, the 20-year-old who's now raced a grand total of 9 World Championship Supersports races. And of course has had a couple of podiums during the course of the year. Had a couple of breakdowns as well. And one thing you can safely say about Brock Parks' radical new hairdo, it's not doing him any favours on the track in terms of speed. He's currently in 9th place, about 4 tenths of a second behind Corradi, although he's got a comfortable cushion of about 8 seconds over that astonishing battle going on with Crutchlow and the rest.
What, and do you think there's a sort of close correlation between hairstyles and speed on track then, Jack? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just thought he might have done something as radical as that just to sort of boost his season, really, James.
Like the Samson sort of
That's right.
theory there.
That's right.
Cut his hair, speed's gone.
Cut his hair, coal black. And
Yeah, what is it?
speed of Mike. No.
You don't think he's seen a couple of greys coming through and panicked here?
He might have done, yeah.
I nearly fell for that one. Couple of greys there on my temple. I nearly reached for that Grecian 2000.
Here's Crutchlow stonking past us now with Legrave, Harms, Forrest, Lauslato and Stigveld in pursuit. And Tom Tunstall's got the better of Migliorati, and Tom Tunstall has joined in the back of that gang on the red bike, and that means puts him through to 16th place, right on the fringe of the points then for the 26-year-old.
I mean red bike, it's yellow.
Oh, it's a yellow bike,
it's
sorry.
Quite plainly yellow.
Sorry. Oh, it is, yes. It's extremely yellow. There's so many yellow bikes, I'm getting in a muddle. Come on, Tom. Tom Tunstall, likeable, toothy chap from Huddersfield.
Yeah, super
looking
fit.
To get more points on the board here in World Supersports.
We were out in the middle of Derbyshire on us trail bikes. That's the ones with engines and knobbly tyres. And we're sat at a little cafe. And he comes tootling up on his own on a push bike. Bear in mind, we're quite a long way from Huddersfield. And I said, "Oh, right, you're doing a bit of cycling?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "Where you parked up?" He goes, "No, I've cycled from home." He was a long way from home on a mountain bike. I bet he must have done sort of a 50-mile run on a mountain bike that day, which is too much for me at my age, in my dotage.
You're not in your dotage yet.
I'm ready. I'm not about mountain biking now. I'm going to get one of them bath chairs with a travel rug over me as soon as Ruby can reach the handles.
Sebastian Charpentier still in the lead. Michel Fabrizio in second. Honda and Yamaha. That hard-working Kevin Curtin, who just had a bit of a moment on that last lap that dropped him into the 130 bracket. So he lost all that. That's all it takes, isn't it? All that hard-earned ground just slips back again.
One of the things, Jack, is the fact that to actually go quicker than Sunday, you really need to use more tyre up. It is like that. If you're going to go quicker, you're going to use your tyre up. And all these are going to be on the edge of the tyre wear at the end anyway. They're all going to be struggling, which means he has used his tyre up. And if you've got to push hard to catch, it's hard to maintain that pace as your tyre go off. And that's, if you'd have got away with them, and it's easy at the beginning if you do get away with them, not to use your tyre that hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he's struggling a little bit now.
That Hardinge Honda of the ultra-fit Tom Tunstall did sneak through as they came down the start and finish straight and into that 15th place ahead of Stigveld. This is the best ride of the year from Fabrizio.
Yeah, by far, yeah. Although he has been impressive most of the year, to be honest, which we didn't want to see because when you do meet him, he's quite a cocky little fella. and me and Jack we don't like that, do we? We don't like that.
Speak for yourself.
We like modest people. He's quite cocky, so we wanted to see him sort of fall, but he hasn't. Not fall off the bike, I mean, just not do as well as what he thought himself he would. But he has, he's quite good, isn't he?
He is quite good, and Craig Jones is getting caught once again by number 13, Alessio Carradi. And Brock Parks also is in there. So Parks is the third one of that trio. Come on, Jones. Jonesy is 7th, Carradi 8th, 9th place Parks, 10th Crutchlow, 11th Legrave. Tunstall still there in 15th place, but he's a second behind Lauslato. He's got to just pick his game up a bit to get on terms with the Finn. Craig Jones, though, has those two guys right behind him. Carradi and Parks absolutely on his case. Fabrizio is once again looking threatening. As they launch off down Dingle Dell. Sorry, my attention had been slightly taken there by the Crutchlow battle going along the bottom straight here in front of us.
Mine's been taken by the fact somebody's off.
And Jano Janssen, the Dutchman, the second member of the Netherlands Suzuki squad, has dropped it.
And that's at Druids.
Druids, James, catches a lot of people out, especially relative newcomers to the track. Why is
included,
that?
I was always off there. Because it's the place on the track where it's easy to try and go up the inside of somebody on the brakes and think, right, I'll just make it all up at Druids. It's one of them little stop in out corners, so you can crash on the brakes and you can sort of crash coming out. It's one of them corners where you're tempted to have a go at somebody. There's a lot of passing manoeuvres there.
Actually, I've just remembered, Carl Muggeridge told me last night that one of the problems with it is the way it's at a critical moment of tipping in and braking, that it kind of levels out.
Yeah, it does.
And you lose the favourable camber just at that moment.
Not just that, it does exactly the opposite. As you're putting the power on coming out, the track drops away quite steeply as you're putting the...
That was a moment for Charpentier coming out of Graham Hill Bend, and that was the opportunity Fabrizio needed.
And all he needed.
Oh, I thought for a moment Charpentier was going to shove him aside. So Sebastian's moment, yeah, well that huge high side of Kageyama's that hurt him so much yesterday was right there, dropping down the hill from the egg. It actually started in the exit to the turn, but it was a long way before he landed. Long look over his shoulder there from Charpentier, checking that he's not in danger from behind. Stefan Chambon's closing on Fabien Fauré. That's intriguing to see that happening. I thought that Fabien would have that 4th place perhaps in the can. And
Curtin has not given up on this.
Look, this was the moment. What happened? Oh no, sorry, the moment had already occurred then.
Yeah, it was coming out of Graham Hill where he had the moment.
Kevin Curtin is beginning to close on them again, and he did actually match their time. Charpentier was the slowest of the 3 on the last lap, and Curtin just a fraction quicker than Fabrizio. What is he going to be on this lap as they cross the line? Charpentier 30.85.
Yep.
And 30.1
quicker for Curtin.
Oh, and Fabrizio, what did he do then? He looked like he went for an early apex that took him by surprise, because as Charpentier is back in the lead. Fabrizio 2nd, 3rd place still that Yamaha Deutschland R6 of Kevin Curtin. And this was where Charpentier's sheer power carried him under the bridge back into the lead. Uphill through Graham Hill Bend. And this is as near as we've got to getting all 3 of these guys in the frame together, because Kevin Curtin has really eaten up the gap. 17 laps out of 23 complete. He's still got time, James, 6 laps.
Absolutely. And I take it all back about what I said about him using his tyre up. Obviously he hasn't.
It's a good job we don't put everything you say in writing and then hold it. Anything you may say may be taken down in writing and held in evidence.
I need holding in evidence.
Into Sheen corner. Sheen curve, beg its pardon.
That's so quick now, that part of the track.
And that sudden swap there, it's quite bumpy as well as you're switching over to go from left to right and into it. There was a lot of unsettled looking bikes when we were watching qualifying yesterday morning there. So Curtin was down to 0.6 of a second behind the leader on the last lap. I hope he wasn't going out way too wide just then. No, he was bringing it right back across. Crossing the line now, 30.3, 30.4, 30.39. So in fact Charpentier took about 0.04 of a second out of the Yamaha on that lap. 5 laps to go. Is this Charpentier's major response? Meantime, look at this, that little devil who loves this place, Stefan Chambon, is all over the back now of Fabien Fauré. Meanwhile, further back, Crutchlow crosses the line in 10th place, ahead of Forrest, Lauslato, Harms, Tunstall 14th now. He's got the better of Johan Stigfeldt. Fabrizio goes right round the outside. Has that bike got the sheer speed? Not quite. That doesn't surprise us. Migliorati in 16th place, just outside the points on the leading light speed Kawasaki. The Yamaha now has closed right down as they disappear into Dingledell. It's an even Stevens, 1, 2, 3. The 2 Hondas and Kevin Curtin's Yamaha. Now, Kevin Curtin's never won here. Chambon's won here at least twice. He won in 97, he won again in 1999, he won again in 2003. Absolutely adores the place. Muggeridge has won here twice, but of course isn't in this race. Katsuaki Fujiwara won here in 2002. Plenty of former race winners in the pack. Crossing the line this time. 19 laps complete. 30.6, 30.59, 30.3. So Curtin once again found a little bit extra.
Curtin's fancying this, and Curtin's an hard rider as well. He won't waste any time. If he thinks he can get past Fabrizio or even Charpentier, he'll waste no time doing it. He's quite an hard rider.
You kind of have to say that you feel he deserves a race win in this season somewhere, don't you? The way
yeah,
he's
you
been
do,
riding.
yeah. Certainly he deserves something in this race, because he's just ridden so hard and chipped away and not made that many mistakes, and he's caught the leaders.
Meanwhile, there's the battle for 4th, which Chambon now has taken control of, and behind them Fujiwara is in a pretty lonely spot. Karadi has got the better of Jones, so Karadi goes 7th. Jones has pushed back to 8th. And I've just realised we've lost Brock Parks, which is why Tunstall's now up to 13th place. He's got the better of Robin Harms. He's up to 13th place. But we don't know what's happened to Brock Parks. Stopped for a bit more hair dye or tar pitch.
Might be running. As he's sweating, he might be running all in his eyes. dying.
Here we go into Stirling's Bend, the 3 leaders, 1, 2, 3, Honda and Yamaha. I suppose this, if anything, it's a very much a rider's track. It's not an absolute power circuit. That in a way would help Kevin Curtin, the power deficit.
Yeah, it's less of a power circuit, more of a rider's circuit, but especially on these bikes that have less power than the super bikes, every little bit of power is more important, if you understand. There's that little of the track they can actually hold a super bike flat out for now they're over 200 horsepower. The difference in power doesn't make as much difference as you think. These it actually does. These are probably about 140 horsepower, not sort of 200 horsepower. Maybe 145, the top ones. So there's actually more of the circuit that you can use that full power that they've got.
And Muggeridge and Tolson was saying yesterday, it's amazing how they trail the back brake in so many places around here. Everywhere they're dragging on it to keep the front end down.
Now they use the back brake to sort of settle the bike coming out of turns and to stop them wheeling over backwards. Instead of shutting the throttle
all the way down here,
they're stopping it going over backwards.
Coming out of Stirling's as well.
They're stopping the wheelies too much with, and a lot of them now are using thumb brakes as well, because they can use those coming out of the right-hand corners, the foot brake, the rear breakers on your foot on the right-hand side. So if you're cranked over coming out of a corner, it's impossible to press the brake down, you'd scrape on the floor. So a lot of them are using thumb brakes on the left-hand handlebar underneath the clutch lever.
Is that indicative of how little actual braking the rear wheel does for you when you're really under braking? Does it just act as a kind of stabiliser?
Under braking, nothing at all. There's no weight on the rear at all.
There's the battle going on in the mid-pack. That's Tom Tunstall, number 27, forcing his way through on the hard-inch Honda. Impressive stuff. So that would be Tom going through into 12th place. 2 laps to go at the front. 2 laps to go for everybody. Fujiwara crosses the line. He's in 6th place. 7th Karate, 8th Jones, and then a long gap back to Legrive, and incidentally Legrive with Crutchlow right behind him, and then the rest, Forrest, Tunstall. If Tom Tunstall had got a better start, he'd have been right in the mix. He's already 12th, Crutchlow's there in 10th place. So if we have 3 young British riders in the top 12, that's going to be impressive. Yeah,
Tunstall as another rider is really, really fit. He's just actually coming back from quite a bad virus he had. They didn't know what was wrong with him for quite a while, but he's back from that now, fully fit again. And he's a very fit lad, and he's a man who will go better towards the end of a race, not at the beginning. The longer it goes, the better he'll go.
And he's a tall lad, isn't he, for a rider? You can see he towers above the Honda.
Yeah, he's quite a tall, sort of lanky type, yeah.
And here they come. There's Crutchlow, number 85. There's number 12, Forrest, right behind an obscured mind. Number 27, Huddersfield's Tom Tunstall, who tries to move up the inside into Hawthorne's. Oh, and he just eases the teenage Spaniard aside. Oh no, Forrest comes back at him. I beg your pardon. I thought he'd made that stick. He hadn't quite. Xavier Forrest, of course, riding for Francis Batters. Victorious in the first Superbike race, Alstara Corona Suzuki team. Into the final lap. And Charpentier, once again, has just left it until the last moment, James, and he's lit up, really, and just eased away slightly.
He has.
So the ever-smiling Frenchman in the woolly hat, no matter what the weather. Goes up Surtees on the final lap. Jones is still in 8th place, but he's a long way clear of Michel Legrive. There's no real danger of Craig Jones losing that 8th place. But there's every bit of a possibility of Carl Crutchlow getting Michel Legrive. He's right with him as they come out of Graham Hill Bend. And then the battle behind there with Tunstall just behind Xavier Forrest and ahead of Robbie Harms and Laus Leto on the Team Claffey Honda. Meanwhile, at the front, it looks like it's going to be yet another victory for the Tenkate team for the first time in Win-Win Winston colours here at Brands Hatch. Sebastian Charpentier enters the arena on the final lap. Kevin Curtin, still the veteran Aussie, is trying to get on terms with the young Italian just ahead of him. But the winner is Sebastian Charpentier, 2nd place for Michel Fabrizio, not described by James Whittam, is Sebastian Charpentier to enjoy tonight. And Michel Fabrizio in second place looked like he was going to enjoy it a bit as well. Kevin Curtin a little bit disappointed there. And Craig Jones, it'll be nice to welcome him upstairs if we can find him for the second World Superbike race to get his impression of what it's like racing around Brands Hatch today. And